What happened in Westworld Season 3, Episode 7, Past Porn? Let's dig into it and find out. Hi everyone, this is Robert. Welcome to Deep Geek. This video is brought to you with support from Skillshare, the online learning platform, and I have a special offer for you from them at the end of this video, so please stick around for that. I've been covering Westworld Season 3 in full, as well as my usual Lord of the Rings and A Song of Ice and Fire content. If you're interested in that, please click on the subscribe button in the bottom right of your screen and the bell icon. Let's start this breakdown where the episode starts, with Musashi, or Sato. He is one of the Doloreses. He is in Jakarta, which matches up with what we heard a couple of episodes ago, that there's a link between San Francisco, Los Angeles, Jakarta and Berlin. We speculated then that Musashi had moved to Jakarta. This confirms that, so it now seems pretty inevitable that the other Dolores, who we still don't seem to have seen, is in Berlin. Who as and why remains a mystery. But importantly, what happens here is Charlotte's new motivations are revealed. We see her briefly on the phone and there are scars, so this does seem to be post-car burning Charlotte. Perhaps tellingly, she says that she's a bit busy, and we only see her face and hand, so who knows what's going on there. But after the car burning, she could have decided to go after Serac. After all, it seems to have been him who orchestrated that. Instead, she seems to be blaming Dolores Prime for coming up with a plan in which they are expendable. So she tips off someone, presumably Maeve, to Musashi's location. Clementine and Hanario, she was the version of Armistice from Shogun World in Season 2, if you remember, go there. It seems that these two are the help, or at least part of the help, that Maeve requested from Serac. Perhaps not all is as it seems here, though. We know that Charlotte has been starting to deviate from Dolores Prime's plan for a while, but here she says, "I have a new plan." Perhaps Hanario cutting off Sato's head was less about looking cool and more about taking his brain pearl. Maybe Charlotte has a plan that doesn't involve everyone dying. And I think we can be certain that Maeve is not the simple tool of Serac that Dolores seems to think he is. Clementine asserts strongly that, contrary to appearance, neither of them can be bought. Finally, in terms of Dolores' wider plot, we should note that Sato says before he dies that his plans are well underway, and instructs an employee to take a case to our friend. We don't know what is in that case, but it seems that it did make it out, and so this part of Dolores' plan is still working. Perhaps the hints of a host army being created via the Yakuza facilities are going to be fulfilled. Next, let's go to William, Bernard and Stubbs. We get confirmation that William is an outlier. This was pretty obvious, to be honest. He dreamed up all that Delos had been doing all these years. You can't get much more outlier than that. We also get confirmation that the protein tracer injected into him by Charlotte wasn't just meant to track him, but to find the location of the secret lab that Dolores and Caleb then go to. We'll get onto them in a moment. So this is another level of how Dolores has been using William this season. We learn, curiously, that William has been marked as dead. I think this is showing how Serac disappears people rather than telling us that he actually is dead or replaced by a host or anything like that. But most significantly in William's story, we find him claiming he now has a purpose. Last time he said that he was the good guy now, so perhaps this is just a clarification of what that means. And he says that it means that he has realised his one big mistake that he couldn't rub out was the creation of the hosts, so he's going to rectify that now. He will try to kill all hosts. He seems to see this as a battle, and he is on the side of humans. And sure enough, as soon as he gets the chance, he pulls a gun on Bernard and Stubbs, which is where we leave them. But of course the main part of this episode is what happens with Caleb, Dolores and Solomon. Dolores and Caleb made their way to Serac's facility in Mexico, eliminating the rather light security on the way. It seems that that bag Caleb had handed to him outside the aircraft hangar was just some rather cool weaponry. Anyway, once we're in there, we meet Solomon, and we get some more parts of the Rehoboam Serac backstory filled in. Solomon was the supercomputer that Serakh's brother built before Rehoboam. It was very much Jean-Mi's brainchild, it seems. Solomon was charged with plotting out how to organise an unruly world, so it strategized and planned and projected, and didn't come up with a working solution. It did so many things, though, that it became schizophrenic, which is technically not a multiple personality disorder as often put across, but a mental health condition where the subject sees, hears, or believes in things that are not real. Apparently Solomon got it from Jean-Mi, his creator, which raises all sorts of questions, like how a computer could get a human mental condition, what the nature of the relationship between the two was, and so on. Anyway, Solomon apparently couldn't map out a nirvana-like future because of the outliers, those humans that are unpredictable. So 2 things happened. Solomon was retired, left here in Mexico, and the outliers were rounded up. Serac tried to have these outliers reprogrammed and used some data from Delos to help in this, but that only seemed to work about 10% of the time or so. The other 90% were put into literal cold storage, like hosts that went off narrative in Westworld. But the 10% that were successfully reprogrammed were released back into the world, with a new backstory and hampered life chances. Which is where we get to Caleb. He is, as we guessed a couple of weeks ago, an outlier. The first part of Rehoboam's plan to control outliers was to round them up and kill them. The Rico app, as again we suspected a while ago, was devised by Rehoboam to keep control of crime, and it used outliers, who obviously didn't know that they were outliers at the time, to hunt down and kill or capture other outliers. From Rehoboam's perspective, this kept a lid on the outlier problem and meant that it could get back to managing the world without so many divergences. Innovation, aspiration and hope were being curtailed, but humanity, in a very utilitarian way, was being prevented from killing itself. So that's what Caleb had been doing, hunting down outliers with his buddy Francis, and all was going to Rehoboam's plan, until one day Caleb went rogue and listened to one of the people he was hired to kidnap, who knew all about what Rehoboam was up to. So Rehoboam swiftly hired Francis to kill Caleb, but Caleb killed him instead, and after that he got hauled in for reprogramming. And with him it appeared to work. His memories of going around America hunting down outliers on the Rico app were replaced by memories of being in a special ops unit in the Crimea. When we've seen flashbacks through the season, it's been his brain trying to figure out the truth. You can see the fake memories by all of the Russian writing and things like that, and the real memories by the writing in English. He's released back into the community, given a dead-end job, a new profile, and left to it. Dolores choosing Caleb to drag around behind her all this time clearly wasn't an accident. She saw through her access to Rehoboam that he was an outlier and brought him along all the way to meet Solomon so that he could discover who he truly is and be free to lead. She also wanted to visit Solomon in order to get his plan for how to win. Jean-Mi had asked Solomon to come up with a final strategy before he was put into cold storage. We're not told the details of this strategy, but this was clearly the plan which prompted Serac to shut down Solomon and his brother, so it was probably a threat to him. Dolores now gets Solomon to update that plan to fit the current set of circumstances, which the computer does, giving it to Caleb, who is now angry because he knows that Rehoboam and Serac made him shoot Francis, so that's what's going to be driving Caleb in the season finale. Maeve arrives at this point, and she and Dolores have a bit of a fight, with Dolores losing part of an arm. She ends that fight by triggering the EMP machine sitting there. This massive electromagnetic pulse machine is apparently what has been keeping Solomon there all that time. If he had tried to do some cunning escape plan, the EMP would have been triggered, and all electrical devices, including hosts, shut down immediately. So Dolores triggering it then ended the fight with Maeve, but also stopped Solomon when he was in the middle of what sounded like quite an important sentence, saying to Caleb that, "I must warn you..." What? We don't know, but presumably it's something to do with the plan he's just been given. This was an episode packed with nuggets of information and hints about other things, so do let me know in the comment section below what else you've spotted. For example, Caleb's ID number for the facility seems confusingly to be the same as William's. It's hard to see how that could be if they aren't somehow the same person, yet it's even harder to see how they could be the same person. Perhaps someone like Stubbs was tampering with the records. We see him playing with the computer here. And that Serac hologram that briefly appeared to talk to his brother in the event of his brother emerging successfully from the reprogramming initiative says that he regrets that he can't be there because the man he was no longer exists. This seems to add some weight to the idea that Serac is somehow locked in to Rehoboam, being a representative of that in the same way that Jean-Mi is a representative of Solomon. In any event, Serac is not the man he used to be, whatever that means. Finally, we have to acknowledge that although all of this does seem to be taking place at the same time, there are still quite a lot of hints that some or all of it might be happening inside a simulation, or Rehoboam's mirror world, where it works through different scenarios and possible futures. Here, once more, like most episodes this season, we have someone underestimating someone else's moral character at a crucial moment. Sato assumes that Maeve and Clementine have sold out to Serac, whereas Clementine asserts that they cannot be bought. And perhaps most tellingly, Solomon injects some uncertainty into the nature of reality by saying, "If this is indeed now, and we are indeed here." Solomon clearly thinks there's a possibility that things are not as they seem. At the start of this video, I told you I'd say a bit more about Skillshare, who sponsored this video. If you are looking for somewhere cheap and excellent to learn new skills, I really recommend you give them a go. Personally, I've been watching Christopher Dodd's Introduction to Web Development videos, because at some point I want to create a home website for Deep Geek. This has proven to be a great and easy to access way for me to understand the basics of web development. As well as practical courses like that, there are plenty of others on things as varied as creative writing, fine art and photography. There is no better time than now to learn a new skill, and Skillshare is a great place to keep that flame of lifelong learning going. Added to which, it's cheap at just $10 a month for premium membership, which gives you access to everything. If that isn't enough, I have got a special offer for you. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a 2-month free trial of premium membership so you can explore your creativity. If you enjoy my Westworld coverage, you may also enjoy my Lord of the Rings videos. There's a link to them on the left of your screen. Or if you'd like to support Deep Geek or get access to some of the content I create exclusively for my patrons, please click on the link on the right of your screen. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you again soon.